Hey, welcome back. Today, we're going to uncover a secret story, one that's happening inside you right now, deep within your bones. We're talking about bone marrow, something we don't think about much, but it holds some amazing clues to our health. So let's get into it. What if I told you that your bones are way more than just a structural frame? That they actually contain a living, breathing record, a story that started the day you were born and is still being written every single day? That's the story we're going to learn how to read together. And we're going to break it all down into 4 simple parts. First, we'll meet the key players inside your bones. Then we'll follow the marrow's life story, from when you're a baby to an adult. After that, we'll see how doctors read that story by asking 3 really important questions. And finally, we'll see how all that knowledge helps them spot the signs of disease. Okay, so to understand the story, we first got to get to know the setting and the characters. And inside your bones, it really comes down to 3 main things. First up is the trabecular bone. The easiest way to think about this is as the house or the scaffolding. It's this beautiful, intricate, spongy framework that creates the structure where everything else lives and works. Next, we have the absolute star of the show, the red marrow. This stuff is literally the body's blood cell factory. It is working 24/7, just churning out all the red cells, white cells, and platelets that keep us alive. This is the active, life-giving engine in our bones. And finally, there's the yellow marrow. This is basically just fat. It acts as an energy reserve that's tucked away inside our skeleton. Think of it like a pantry for your bones. And as we're about to see, it's the shifting balance between this yellow marrow and the red marrow that tells the real story. So, how does that balance change? Well, our marrow goes through this incredibly predictable transformation. It's like a coming-of-age story that happens inside every single one of us. And this process has a name. It's called marrow conversion. This slide pretty much maps out your entire life, well, from your marrow's point of view. As babies, we are just packed with that blood-producing red marrow. But as we grow, this fascinating transformation kicks off. The red marrow starts converting to yellow, fatty marrow, and it starts at the very tips of our fingers and toes and just methodically moves inward. By the time we're about 25, the process is pretty much done, leaving those red marrow factories mostly in our core, our spine, our ribs, and our pelvis. And this whole thing is incredibly precise. It's not random at all. Even within a single bone, like your thigh bone, the conversion follows a strict order. It starts at the very ends of the bone, then it moves into that long central shaft, and finally it converts in the areas closest to the core of your body. It's a predictable, outside-in pattern. Okay, so understanding that predictable pattern is the key to everything. It's how radiologists basically become marrow detectives. They just have to ask 3 fundamental questions to figure out if the story they're seeing in the bones is playing out like it should, or if there's an unexpected plot twist. The first question is the one we've just been digging into, right? What is the normal, expected story of marrow conversion as we get older? And the answer is that predictable journey we've been following. It moves from the outside in, from our hands and feet, towards our spine. And this isn't just a fun piece of trivia. It's the control in the experiment. It's the baseline that makes it possible for doctors to spot when something is off. Now for the second question, and this is where it gets really fascinating. What happens when the body is under stress and suddenly needs to ramp up blood production? This is where we see something called reconversion. The body can actually flip the script. It's amazing. Reconversion happens in the exact reverse order of normal conversion. The body reactivates that yellow fatty marrow and turns it back into a productive red marrow factory. And this process starts from the core of the skeleton and moves back outward into the limbs, basically firing up old factories when the demand gets high enough. So the final question is one that acknowledges that biology is, well, complicated. Are there any normal variations, any exceptions to these rules that aren't actually a sign of a problem? And the answer is a big yes. Biology is rarely so black and white. For instance, because of hormonal shifts and stuff, it's totally normal to see some patchy red marrow in the thigh bones of teenagers or menstruating women. These are known variations that doctors are trained to recognize, so they don't mistake a perfectly normal pattern for a sign of trouble. So here's the crucial point. Once you understand the entire normal story, the conversion, the reconversion, and all its normal variations, you gain this incredible power to spot when the story takes a dark turn, like in the case of leukemia. When doctors need a really clear look at what the marrow is doing, they turn to a specific kind of MRI scan called a T1 weighted image. This is their absolute go-to tool, and the reason is that it's exceptionally good at showing the difference between fat and other tissues, which, as you're about to see, is the key to everything. And this slide right here shows the crucial diagnostic clue. On a T1 MRI, fat appears bright white, and even healthy active red marrow is still about 40% fat, which is enough to make it look brighter than the muscle right next to it. But when leukemia strikes, the cancerous cells invade the marrow and they push out all that fat. As the fat disappears, the marrow loses its brightness. It becomes darker than the surrounding muscle, and that shift from bright to dark is a major, major red flag. So to sum it all up, doctors are looking for two key signs. On that T1 MRI, they're looking for marrow that has become darker than the body's internal reference points, like muscle and the discs in the spine. And in children, another sign can sometimes be seen on just a simple X-ray, where it shows up as these dark bands near the ends of their bones. So the next time you think of your skeleton, don't just picture a static frame. Remember this dynamic, hidden story that's constantly unfolding inside. Your marrow is a living record, a biography of your health that's being written in real time. It's just a cool reminder that even in the deepest, quietest parts of our bodies, there's a really fascinating story being told. What do you think your story says?